soon as we go to the yard, he clap his hands. He goes like this. About 30 Muslims lined up. And he said, I'm Mujahid. He said, if I would have got on that top bunk, I would have killed you this morning.
It's the Doscinco Project.
Money pouring in, clientele growing down.
With your host, Doscinco.
Let's go!
What's up, everybody? You are now tuned into the Doscinco Project, where we talk about business, finance, motivation, and mindset. I have a very special guest with us here today. He is a serial entrepreneur and has his hands in many ventures. He is the proud owner of a barbershop, Q's Quality Cutz, which is located on 1963 Grand Avenue, Baldwin, New York. He is also a real estate investor and co-owner of Remodel Realty. He operates an investment group that has allowed him to partner up on many ventures, including a pharmacy and his latest venture, a 9,000 square foot nightclub lounge in Long Island City named Cavalli. Aside from his many business ventures, he is a community activist and has mentored and empowered youth and people of all ages to build wealth and build their own community economic engine. Please welcome Quentin Brown, also known as Q. What's up, baby?
What's going on?
How's everything, man? Good?
Look, I'm proud to be here. The intro was actually dope, man. It made me blush a little bit. And,
Listen,
hearing it.
You gave me a lot to work with. Now, for those that don't know, a few days ago, I actually saw him on TikTok. I saw Q on TikTok, and he was giving some business game, and I got so motivated by that I decided to reach out to him on Instagram, which he replied, a day later, and boom, I'm here in New York, and I'm interviewing him.
That's a fact. I was like, look, let's do it.
Yeah.
He was like, I think it was Sunday, and I was like, let's do it Tuesday.
Yep, let's do it Tuesday.
Let's do it, bro.
Yep.
Because me, I'm a procrastinator, and I know that about myself. So I'm like, you know what? Why put off the things today?
Right.
Especially you were so proactive about getting the message out. And me, I love, teaching others how to think bigger and more and better. So I said, you know what? Let's collide our platforms and let's just do it, bro.
I love it.
Let's just do it,
man. Love it. Let me tell you, so one of the things that I really appreciated, honestly, was the fact that you were in your barbershop and you were talking about how you were hustling, hustling, cutting hair and things of that sort.
Okay.
And then you bought the barbershop from the actual owner.
Yeah.
And then you just started getting into many ventures. So before all of the success, I want you to take me back to your childhood. I want you to talk a little bit about, where you came from. What was your foundation? Was entrepreneurship always in your life?
I'll be honest with you. My mother worked hard, very hard-working woman, single parent of 6, and I saw her struggles. And again, I grew up in a bad area, so therefore it was it made more sense at that time, to get involved in the negative stuff because that was around me.
Right.
So I didn't really see anything positive. 9 out of 10 of the people that were around me, they sold drugs, they did illegal activities. So it was normal for me to say, you know what, I'm gonna engage in that same activity. My mother wouldn't even she hadn't even got a speeding ticket before.
Wow.
My mother was a solid, straight up woman, always lived righteous, always did the right thing. So I never had that as an example of in my home. But outside, the streets had a bigger voice. And every time I would hear it, at that point I would say, not realizing that I was a leader, but I wanted to be down. So I became, quote unquote, ideally a product of my environment. Okay. And I thought that was a normal behavior based on the fact that this is what everyone was doing. So therefore, the influential mindset I had at the time, I started following everybody else. And I basically trying to keep up with the Joneses. And that was exactly my story.
Wow.
You know?
So being raised in the streets, did you get obviously caught up?
Yeah.
Criminal record, things of that sort?
Yeah, I got caught up a few times, a lot of bumps along the road, And at first I used to regret or resent a lot of my decisions, but, I actually appreciate it. I did a federal stint for a couple years, and that was my wake-up call. And there's a story behind that stint. When I was in the feds, my first bunkie was a guy by the name of Mujahid, and he was like, youngster, you should come my cell. I said, all right, no problem. Went in his cell. First day, me having a little stature on me, a little size on me. I said, listen, brother, you got to get on the top bunk. So he was like, listen, young brother, I can't get on the top bunk. He said, no, I'm an older guy, man. You should take the top bunk because you're younger. You can get up and down easier.
Right.
So me thinking I'm this masculine, super macho man, I'm like, yo, I'm not getting on nobody's top bunk. So we talked back and forth for about 20 minutes. By the 21st minute, he convinced me to take the top bunk. That night, I stayed in the cell with him and we just talked all night. Like I'm talking about all night. I've never really built with an older gentleman, me coming from not having a father, I never really talked to an older gentleman the way I talked to him that way. Most of the guys where I was from that were older, they was competing to be my age. They weren't acting mature.
Right.
So I never really met a man that mature. And I never would expect to have met that person in that situation.
Wow.
So now you fast forward, the next morning he was like, yo, come with me to breakfast. I walk with him to breakfast. Sitting in the mess hall in prison, I'm like, a lot of people keep looking at us, man, but I'm not noticing anything. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, is he gay? Like, you know,
Right,
that's what I'm thinking.
You start
yeah,
thinking different.
like, what's up with son? So long story short, after breakfast, he was like, yo, what are you about to do? I said, I want to go back to, I'm about to go back to the cell. He was like, nah, come with me to the yard. I go with him to the yard. As soon as we go to the yard, he clap his hands. He goes like this. About 30 Muslims lined up. And he said, I'm Mujahid. He said, if I would have got on that top bunk, I would have killed you this morning.
Wow.
You know, he was the imam, meaning the high priest of the whole prison.
Wow.
About 300, maybe 350 Muslims. And I never knew, you know, never had a clue, never guessed it, never thought anything. But his humility showed me my arrogance almost got me killed. And not realizing, like, I'm like, yo, that's crazy. But I'm like, standing around these people, like they right around me, and I'm like, oh my God, like, yo, they can kill me right now.
So his humility, when you attribute to power,
Yeah.
it's usually the arrogance.
Yes.
But because he was so humble, a
never
lot of
guessed
people
it.
attribute that as being weak.
Of
When in
course.
all actuality, he had the power the entire time.
Every bit of who he was.
Wow.
And he had the power because the compound had over 300 Muslims, and he run all of them. So 299 Muslims did whatever he said, you know, outside of himself. Wow. And it shocked me. At that moment, I've never felt that vulnerable in my life. So I was like, that's crazy. So like now you fast forward, me staying in that cell with him every day we talked. By the time he left prison, by the time he got to prison, he owned about 200 properties, bro, like units. He was a beast. And I read his paperwork.
Okay.
He was a beast. Big dude coming out of Philly. I don't know his real name, but I know his attribute became Mujahid. You know, I never really learned his real name. I just knew him as Mujahid. He told me the person he used to be is dead.
Gotcha.
And this is who he is.
Wow.
But he did a lot. And the guy got double life. A double life sentence. And it made me wake up. And it showed me like, you can get hurt. You can get hurt, brother. Whether you want to believe it or not, you can get hurt. And you ain't Superman. And that was a very humbling experience for me. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's just crazy because I never felt that way in my life.
Wow.
Like vulnerably, I can get hurt.
Absolutely. That was a reality check.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
So while you were having these conversations with him, did you start? I mean, obviously, you said that he owned about what, like 200 properties?
200 properties, like units and properties. So I would say maybe he probably had buildings with like 6 units here, 7 units here.
Gotcha.
But totally, he had over 200 different people living in his units.
Was he sharing those gems
Yes.
with you?
Yes. He kept building me, talking about He one time he said something so funny. He was like, yo, you ever seen somebody that's so smart they stupid? And I said, yeah. He was like, that's you. He said, you smart, but you stupid. And I was like, why you say that? He was like, because you're conflicted. It's like a part of you wants one thing, but a part of you wants another. He said, you got to either have one, you can't have one foot in, one foot out.
Right.
Either you all in or you all out. And at that moment, I said, I'm all in. And I started listening to him. And that whole stretch, he changed my whole mindset and made me believe in me.
Wow.
You know, I even changed my nickname.
Wow.
I said, yeah, that's it. Because based on what he did, he was like, I'm no longer that person.
Okay.
He said, don't go home with that attribute because it carries a past with it.
It's true.
He said, change your name and become this guy. And then he said, now start from day one. I started. Yep. And then, you know, and then my testimony is what it is.
Wow.
You know?
So for typical United States society, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have a record, it's over for you.
Over for you.
Done.
Yeah.
You don't make no money, nothing out here.
Yeah.
You leave out of serving federal time.
Mm-hmm.
What happens?
So long story short, I went to a barbershop. You know, being a barber, it actually saved my life because a lot of the testimonies that I would hear, it was like it's like being a therapist in a sense. Like you heard the most vulnerable moments in people's lives and they feel comfortable to tell you.
Right.
And I've never had that power. And I'm like, yo, you really know a lot about people. Like your barber and the client relationship is deep.
Wow.
And I said to myself, like, yo, this is crazy. So when I came home, when I started working back in the shop, I was like, yo, I refuse to go back. And I'm going to be honest with you, everything in my bones wanted to step back into the world of illegal activity. But I said, I can't.
Because you were comfortable in that environment.
Yes. And I said, you know what? Especially when your mind is like, yo, you're used to a certain amount of money. in a certain lifestyle and driving certain cars. And I was like, yeah, I can't do it. I just can't do it. So I stayed to my journey. So at one point, I locked into my shop, no lie. I worked for the owner for about a year. And then I told him I want to buy it from him.
Okay.
He thought I was BSing. I saved every dollar.
So you were saving everything. So you
Everything,
was living
everything.
bare minimum.
Bare minimum.
Okay.
Saving. And I told him I want to buy it from him. He was like, you want to buy it from me? I said, yeah. He thought I was BSing.
Yep.
And I offered him an offer that he couldn't refuse. He sold it to me. At one point, I worked in the shop all by myself.
Wow.
I had no barbers, nothing. I stayed. And then at one point, I worked in my shop 7 days a week, about 14 hours every day. And I saved every single dollar. And I just saved and I saved and I saved. So then my partner, you know, I ended up meeting her along my journey about like partying and being out. They owned a club that was out in Suffolk County, Long Island.
Okay.
You know, it's called Mix. And I met them. And when I met them, she was like, she's about to open up a pharmacy.
Okay.
And I was like, damn, I need in. You know, I know how pharmaceuticals go, being that I was on the legal side of it.
Yep.
And I said, I want to get on the legal side of it now. So I said to her, can I join? And she was like, you're not serious. She told me the amount. And I was like, I got it.
Wow.
And she said, no, you don't. I said, I got it. And she said, let's do it. And sure enough, that pharmacy started making me my first residual money in my life. I've never made money without doing something for it in my existence. Whether it was selling drugs, whether it was cutting hair, whether it was working a job. I've never made an investment and have it pay me in my life.
Wow.
So then I got to the point where I was making 6 figures a year from doing absolutely nothing. But when
Money working for you.
Yes. But the funny thing is, when I got that money, I stayed the course. I stayed grinding. I stayed working in my
So
shop.
you act like as if that money wasn't
Never
even there.
existed.
Gotcha.
So then when that money came in, you know, every month I would just put it away. And like it never came. Finally, her husband was like, they're opening up a nightclub.
Okay.
And I was like, you open up a nightclub? He was like, yeah. I said, I want in. She was like, you got that money? I was like, yeah.
She questions you every project.
But she should have seen, like, I didn't.
Right.
I didn't waste no money. I ain't taking no trips at one point for about 7.5 years. I ain't take no vacations, no trips, no nothing. I did 5 years on basically supervised release, which is parole, and I just stayed down and I just kept grinding. I didn't want no hiccups along my way, so I just stayed focused. I said, if I stay in my shop, there's no way I can get in trouble. So I just stayed focused. I didn't go in my old neighborhood. I didn't hang out with people. I just stayed. And the people that came in my shop were more like positive people.
Gotcha.
So my mind was really reforming and basically changing based on the people I was around consistently. And I just committed myself. Then when I got the nightclub, as you know, it's one of the most populous nightclubs in New York City now.
It's real nice inside.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's nothing. You know, I'm just getting started. I keep telling people I'm just getting started.
We got to talk about your age. All right,
Okay.
so I'm 35.
Yeah.
You 36.
I'm 36.
Established, making things happen, brother.
I still feel poor though. You know, I still feel poor. It's weird because like a lot of people say, you know, they base money on comfortability. I base freedom on comfortability. That's more for my finances.
Yep.
The more free you are, the more you are established to me. Like right now, my life is still not on airplane mode.
Okay.
And as I said that on TikTok, I'm not on airplane mode. My life is still has to be basically sustained. Now I'm buying the assets that's giving me more freedom. So now I can maneuver and do what I want.
Gotcha.
You know, and again, the people, they ask me like, yo, why you cut hair? They don't understand the barbershop saved my life.
Right.
It's like, it's different. It's not even about the money.
It's a way to keep you grounded.
Yes. And they don't understand it. I'm like, it's easy to lose yourself when you start doing well.
Yep.
It's very easy. But if you keep yourself like structured based on how you got there, it's easy to stay focused.
Gotcha.
Opposed to deviating. Now you start putting new energy around you. You start putting new girls that would have never talked to you before.
Yep.
It's easy to lose yourself.
Absolutely. Then you get sidetracked and then you're off the ball, and the next thing you know, your whole empire tumbles.
Exactly. So if you know that you train 7 days a week to be an NBA player,
right,
why are you stopping to train that much? I can see you taking off one day, but you still have to have the same regimen, same program. Look at LeBron James.
Yeah.
You know, he still trains as if he's in his first year.
Absolutely.
You know, which is amazing.
Talk about, I know in one of your TikTok videos, you talked about mindset and the importance of mindset.
Yes.
And you did a whole comparison between a slave mentality and an ownership mentality. Can you discuss a little bit about that?
So basically, when you look at mindset, most people don't understand that you have employees and you have employers. Most employers do not teach employees how to be their employer.
True.
Because they realize by sustaining your mind and keeping your mind at a certain level, they're able to keep capitalized on your labor. So basically, it's like when you do an 8-hour shift, all they doing is paying into your hours. So they buying your hours from you, basically to make themselves more money. And that's a slave mentality. They realize by me controlling the plantation, I'll give you 8 hours, pay you for it, but yet and still you're only going to go to a certain level. Right. And they realize these things. And now you look at the landlord opposed to the tenant. The landlord will never teach the tenant how to own a home. That's true. You know, and that's how you keep people at a certain level, because there's a mindset that come along with becoming an employer. There's a mindset that comes along with being a landlord. There's a mindset. But these are things that are not taught in certain communities. And it's intentionally, because maliciously they want us to stay at a certain level, whether we want to accept it or not. Most people don't like competition. I've noticed that more poor people are more willing to accept competition than wealthy people. They get fearful, especially if they generationally inherited the wealth. They never inherited the mindset or the strength,
the hustle, the
dog. Because the dad might have established them, so they've always had it easier. So therefore, they never really had that get it out the mud mentality. I gotta grind, I gotta kill They never had that. Like a guy like me, I gotta keep my son getting it out the mud. Right. Otherwise, my next generation is gonna be weaker, because I got it out the mud. He did it. He got it a lot easier. Wow. You know, so I have to keep that mentality, allowing him to earn everything and not feel entitled.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
You know, it's crazy because the Rockefeller family, especially I think it's John D. Rockefeller himself, he helped to establish the school system in the entire United States. Yeah. And he once said that he wants to train them or train the masses to be workers, not to be free thinkers. Because if you can allow them to do that, then they can work for the plantation, so to speak,
of course.
And just live for the weekend.
Of course,
you know.
And that's but it's true. It's sad, but it's so true.
So true.
When you look at the whole plantation mentality, is like I tell people, don't think you're gonna just jump to employer. You have to be an employee first before you can be an employer. And I always tell people, like, logic says that you take your seeds and you take your foods from your plantation and you invest it in your own plantation. And you start investing the money from your plantation that you work on, and you start investing in yourself. And therefore, you can slowly weed yourself off the plantation. But it's a process. And most people have this micro mentality where I want to get rich overnight, and that's not reality. Right. You know, and I tell people all the time, like, it's a process. It took me over 10 years to get to where I'm at today. Wow. You know, in 10 years, most people don't want to sacrifice a year because they want to look up. You know, opposed to say, you know what, let me drive a little Honda. Yep. They want the Ferrari. Meanwhile, they'll struggle with the Ferrari for a look from people that don't really even care.
You still broke anyway.
Yeah, it's a
and
mentality.
Then you lose your income. That Ferrari gets taken away from you.
Yes, it does. And it's not even it's a liability in a sense. It's like it's not even adding to your wealth. It's actually we're taking from your wealth. Because if you're able to spend that, imagine if you would have bought that and you'd have took that money and bought an investment property. Right. Now your life would look a lot different opposed to what it is. You'll start being the image that you're portraying in reality. Gotcha. You know what I'm saying?
So you know. This I would probably say is for those that, you know, those individuals that are maybe working a 9-to-5, barely getting by, working for the weekends and things of that sort. They want to dive into business. They want to dive into entrepreneurship. Give them some practical advice that they can possibly do today that can possibly take them into starting their own business and actually owning.
I always follow this strategy. And the guy that mentored me when I was in prison, he said, the guaranteed formula to success is work hard, save your money, invest. Most people don't want to work hard. Most people don't want to save their money. And most people fear to invest. So if you work on those 3 assets or those 3 attributes, you will definitely start seeing progression. If you're working hard, you're saving the money, and you deviate from the fear, ultimately your life will start changing. It only makes sense because it's like if I tell most guys, like, yo, let's save for a vacation, they're willing to do it. Right. But if I tell most guys, let's save for an investment, they aren't willing to do it. Mm-hmm. I always tell people, most people in life are born with gifts. Yep. Everyone has a gift, whether it's being able to talk in front of a group of people, whether it's running a 4.340, whether it's jumping to the moon, whether it's a photographic memory. Everybody has a gift. This is what God gave you. Yep. You know, some people can control a room with their voice. As soon as they speak, people look. You know, that's a gift. Right. You know, being able to multitask is a gift. You know, but people don't know gifts and being special are 2 different things. Right. Special is the willingness to do what others aren't willing to do. That's what makes you special. Because again, we're all gifted, but it's I'm willing to do what you aren't willing to do to obtain success. Meaning you'll waste money, I'm saving. You want to travel, I'm investing. While you now ultimately I'll be able to live the lifestyle I wanted to live every day, opposed to once in a while.
Right.
You know, and that's really realistically what it is.
What do you? I truly believe that that's something that's plaguing, you know, our generation, plaguing even the next generation. What do you think is the direct cause for why people don't want to get it out the mud, so to speak, and go out and actually hustle to obtain these investments?
I don't want to diss hip hop, but hip hop definitely plays a major part in it.
Okay.
I feel like it shows. If you've noticed, even the women of today are nastier based on the lyrics and the music. You know, they talking about some use them for a Birkin bag and all of this.
The morals have gone down.
Definitely.
Yep.
Like women don't even see. Like I met a woman one time. She told me, "You did you, I did me," and I'm looking at her like, sister. As a man puts a notch in his belt to conquer you, you lose value to the man.
That's so true.
And I'm like, whether you want to say it or not, women don't retain the value as more she keeps getting used.
Yep.
And the more sex she has with different men, the less value she has to men. You know, not to herself. I'm not saying that how you doing. A woman loses value, but to the man she loses value.
Reputation goes down as well.
Yes. So her level of men kind of diminishes a lot. You know, once you a guy of stature or a guy that's worked hard to build your future, there's no way you want to invest in something like that.
That's so true.
You know, it's like, unless you're just one of these simp guys that just only care about looks.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But me, I'm not like that. I like hardworking, classy, respects herself.
Yep.
You know, remember, this is going to be my child's mother one day.
Absolutely.
You know,
and it's also a direct representation of you.
Exactly. Logic.
You know, if her reputation is down in the dumps, it's going to bring you right down in the dumps right along with her.
It does. So, you know, you put yourself to understand that, like you said, you are what you deal with.
Yep.
If I hang out with thieves, chances are I will be looked at as a thief. You know, it's just reality. Again, I tell people all the time, they be like, he's a bum or she's a bum. I'm like, a mindset is what make a person a bum. Not physically having materialistic things.
Right.
Material don't make you not a bum. It's the mindset. The mindset is what keeps most people from achieving what they want to achieve. So they get stagnated because of the fact that they're so captivated by the instant. Like you see Instagram, and then you have something called influencers.
Yep.
They're influencing minds to behave and think a certain way. You know, I listened to Megan Thee Stallion. She had grown women talking about it was a hot girl summer. And I'm like, yo, that's disgusting. Like, yo, it's not a hot girl summer.
Right.
You're 40 years old. And I'm going to show you how crazy the world is. Right now in Miami, we have something called spring break going on.
Yeah.
You have 30-year-old men talking about they're on spring break. That's a college student thing. It's
You're
like,
right.
It's just disgusting.
By 30, you should already be somewhat established.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. Or focus on getting to that level.
Yep.
Not running around with a bunch of kids acting like you're still a child.
Yeah, that's true.
You know?
That is so true.
But accountability is not. A lot of people don't want to be accountable these days.
Gotcha.
You know?
Gotcha. And they don't want to hustle, and they don't want to, make things happen for themselves.
Agreed.
And the sad reality is, we're only young one time. Or for a short period of time, should I say?
Yes, we are.
We get, we get to a certain age, our body's not functioning the way we want to, the mind starts to go, and then you wasted all of those precious youth years.
When you should have been grinding.
Should have been grinding. Absolutely. So I know that you mentioned that you had a mentor in prison that helped you get your mind right business-wise. Did it stop there? How were you able to continue to sharpen that saw, so to speak, once you got out?
You know they say steel sharpens steel. Once I realized that when I wanted to be the toughest guy in the street, I hung out with tough guys. When I wanted to be a criminal, I hung out with criminals. So I said to myself, in order for me to really change my mind, my conversations have to be this regular conversation. It has to be normal to own homes. It has to be normal to own businesses. It has to be normal to invest. So if you start talking to people that only invest, it only heightens your courage to be willing to invest.
True.
So I started only talking to people that thought like that. And I noticed that all my friends, like one of my closest friends, well, he's my best friend. He owns over 55 houses. Wow. And he's a beast. Might be 56 because he buys, you know what I'm saying? But if you meet him, very average Joe, he doesn't look like what the average person would think is wealth. And I keep trying to explain to people, like, don't look at, because a garbage man could be a millionaire, right, based on what he do with his money.
His investments.
Yes.
Yep.
And I keep trying to explain that to people. I'm like, security is that you know this money's coming in guaranteed every day. So therefore, a lot of average Joes work average Joe jobs, but they make superstar investments that put them in positions that you ultimately won't see unless you know their personal life.
Yep.
And that's what it took me years to understand. I thought I was supposed to be sitting on the beach sipping pina coladas, but when I do travel, I know my traveling is better than the average person's because I'm in a 5-star and I'm living a different lifestyle opposed to the guy that is using his energy portraying a false image.
Gotcha.
Because he sets himself back further and further and further.
And now he's $20,000-$30,000 in debt.
Yes.
That he's working years to try to pay off because he's trying to live that rich lifestyle.
Yes, he is.
Wow.
Somebody asked me, my first investment was a barbershop. Yeah, but like I tell people, it's based on what you want, and what are you willing to do to get it. And that's what people don't understand. Like I'm telling you, we put limitations on ourselves. So true. And I don't believe in limitations. I feel like, don't get me wrong, at this age, I'm not going to the NFL. Right. I'm not going to the NBA. That's reality. Mm-hmm. The chances are I won't see the moon. I'm comfortable knowing these things. Yep. But I damn sure know every bit of I'm chasing multi-millionaire because it's beyond obtainable. Because America is not designed to there's financial limitations on people, but we put them on ourselves. We put a mental blockade in front of it that don't even exist. We say that, it's something in front of us, but there's nothing there.
Wow.
It's you. It's space and opportunity.
It's also probably the influences, like you mentioned, around you. If
Yes.
you're around limited-minded thinking people, you will be limited-minded.
Agreed.
If you're around millionaires and individuals like you hang with,
you think bigger.
Yeah, exactly.
You think bigger.
Absolutely.
You think bigger.
The partners that you have, with this investment group,
okay,
things of that sort, right? How do you choose the right partners? Because sometimes, it can go sour. What's your acumen as far as choosing the right people to do business with?
The same as far as relationships.
Okay.
When you look at a woman or a woman looks at a man, there are red flags from day one that we ignore based on the fact that that's my homeboy, that's my homegirl, so I want my brother to do business with me because I love him. But in reality, your brother's not about it.
Right.
But yet and still, we force people to be what they aren't. A zebra only knows how to be a zebra. A lion only knows how to be a lion. And it's just what it is. We try to make a zebra a lion, and that person is not a lion. They have characteristical flaws, but yet and still, we force people to be what they aren't. And they only going to eventually show that they're a zebra. They say I'd rather 10 lions than 100 sheep, and that's my reality. I vet people. I pay attention to their behaviors. Are they consistent with their character? I listen to how people talk about them, how people feel. That's you got to remember, in business, you're a representation of me, and I'm a representation of you. So with that being said, I check all of those things. Credentials don't always necessarily have to add up to who that person can become. So people always say, how much money? That don't always mean that. That person might have not just got the opportunity yet. But when that person get the opportunity, they're gone. You could be the third string running back, but you never got a carry in a game.
Right.
So no one knows what you can do. But until you get that carry, then now off to the races, touchdown. I'm like, but again, he never got his opportunity. So therefore, you assume because he's a third string running back, he's third string material. Yep. The coach might not like his game. He might not like the way he run. It could be anything.
Chemistry's probably not there between the coach and the player.
It could be that too. He could be an asshole. He could be.
Right.
So, but again, he get his opportunity, off to the races.
Yep.
And that's how I look at everything.
Wow. Wow. So you have real estate investments, right?
Yes.
We're actually in a building that looked like it was once a bank, right?
It used to be a bank. Yeah.
So my man is living. So there's a movie out right now. I think it's on Apple TV. It's called The Banker. And it's about these African-American gentlemen back in the 40s or 50s where they just start buying up properties. And they wanted to get a loan from a bank, which refused to give them a loan. So what they did was they bought the building from under.
Ain't that something?
Brother, I'm here. I'm talking to the banker himself.
Listen, I'm gonna tell guys, bro, the word perception is everything.
Absolutely.
And I always tell people, like, don't follow the dollar heir and expect to be the millionaire doing the same thing the dollar heir does. You got to follow what the millionaires do. I tell everybody, whether they're on the time, on a podcast, wherever they are, look at what the millionaires do with their money. And then ask yourself, are you really doing what the millionaires are doing? Mark Zuckerberg, which is the owner of the guy that created Facebook, he just did his baby shower. It was an average Joe baby shower. Warren Buffett, I watched Warren Buffett stand in a line waiting to get his food. We're talking about a multi-billionaire.
Still lives in the same house
Same
that
house.
he bought back in the 60s or the 40s or 50s.
The mindset is everything, especially when you're trying to create generational wealth. You have to know that generational wealth don't start with the first generation. It's usually 2, 3, 3, 4, 5 generations down the road. But you set the stepping stones that it's easier for their transition to become successful. And now you invest in your children. And the next children invest in the grandchildren, and so forth and so forth, where it's a normal behavior to have a stature in the carrier. When you say, like, even like in back in the days when you said the last name of your family, it meant something.
Right.
It meant something because it was a status, and people don't understand that.
Yep.
You know, now I tell my son, when you walk around with my name, you have to understand it means something.
Yep.
You know, and vice versa. I have to understand. I have to represent you accordingly also as my son. You know, even though I'm your father, I have a responsibility too, because I'm representing you and you're representing me, and so forth and so forth. But people don't think like that.
Wow.
You know, it's a
That's
family
so true.
mentality.
That's so true. That's why I think Damon Dash said it in the Breakfast Club. He said, hustle for your last name, not
Yeah.
your first.
Yeah.
He said, because if you hustling for your first, you're being selfish.
You are.
Hustling for your last name, you're thinking about your family.
Think about your family. And
So
a lot
true.
of people don't think like that. Like I told a guy, he looked at me, I said, yo, bro, I bought my mother a house. You know, my mom is beyond ecstatic about who I've become. You know, because of the fact that I went from being very ignorant to being the guy that she always saw me. My mother doesn't get hyped about who I am today, because she
Saw that
always knew it. Yeah.
Right.
And she tells me all the time, like, I already knew. Like, I tell her things I'm doing, she's like, you know.
That's typical. I knew that was in you to begin with. You just didn't know
Exactly.
it was in yourself.
Exactly. Because I put limits on myself. You know, I raised my son by myself.
Okay.
You know, I'm a single father of my son. And I raised,
Congratulations. Not congratulations, but you know, you stepped up, so you're doing your thing.
Yeah. And he's actually got into some great schools. He got into University of Rhode Island.
Oh, nice.
Binghamton, man, a couple good schools, man. Syracuse.
Okay.
Man, a few, bro. You know, Providence. You know, a couple good schools. And coming from where he come from, you know, he didn't have it easy until he came to my house, you know, because we had a mom who was fighting against him benefiting from his father. So it was combativeness on the fact that control, opposed to looking at like, you know what? He gives my son a better hope at life. Let him.
Yep.
You know, finally it happened and his life got so much better. You know what I'm saying? But again, it's not about me anymore. It's about my children, bro.
Yep.
You know, it's my children.
Changes your life.
It does.
I got 2 boys myself.
So you
Let me
see.
tell you, yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? I got a son and a daughter, and my daughter's in private school, and my son is graduating, ready to go to college.
That's dope, man.
You know what I'm saying?
That is so dope. What's your 3 to 5 year plan?
I'll be honest with you, to keep building on what I'm building. I'm gonna be honest with you. I just created a new 5-year plan.
Okay.
I surpassed my last 5-year plan by about like 20 something months. I passed it.
Wow.
I did it faster than I expected. I don't care about liquid cash anymore. I used to want to have a financial goal. I don't care about that anymore because I realized that liquid cash is nothing, you know, and it doesn't retain or gain value.
It's true. It loses
You know,
value.
yes.
The more they print, the more it
Yes.
loses.
So with that being said, I more so care about the achievements. You know, I want to continue to build on my real estate. I have about 10 properties. I want to have next 5 years. I'm pushing for like 25, 30,
Nice.
maybe 40.
Yep.
You know, based on what I decide, based on what I'm going to do. You know, but I just know I'm not going to stop.
That's awesome.
You know,
man.
once you got the strategy and the plan, and you're living in your reality,
Yep.
it's easy to conform and change your reality. But me, one rule is I don't live in a false reality.
Gotcha.
I live in a real reality.
You're very self-aware of what's
Yes.
going on around you.
Yes, yes.
That's awesome.
You know, it's beautiful. The other day, me and my family, we went out on my boat. And you guys on TikTok, y'all can go look. And I took the boat out. If you would have told me years ago I would know how to drive a boat, I would have said, hell no. I never thought it.
Right.
But on top of it, I'm a little scared of the deep water.
Yep.
You know, but I say, you know what?
Go out there.
Yeah,
Make it happen.
fear is all in your mind, bro.
So
It's
true.
like, come on, bro. You
I was
live
on
with
the
fear.
bridge. You know, some of y'all bridges coming into New York a
It's
little narrow,
tight,
and
yeah.
I started to get a little tight. And I said, all right, that's a mindset. Let me just
Just
keep
keep
it going.
Somebody,
Yep.
if they did it, you could do it. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Yeah,
That's
that's
all
so
mentality,
true.
man.
So true. So you're a very productive individual.
Appreciate
You're
it.
running so many different ventures. What keeps you? What are you doing to keep you productive? What's your morning routine, if you have one?
Yeah,
Some people have evening.
I wake up like 5:36 a.m. every day.
Okay.
Every day I go to the gym. I start my days off always in the gym. You know, it's about more so not even just about looking good. It's about taking care of your health.
Yep.
Because it's one thing to get to the level of success and you're not able to physically enjoy it
Hmm.
based on, you know, your stress levels are too high. You know, going to the gym naturally reduces your stress levels and everything.
Right.
So with that being said, I have to always be on top of everything that I'm doing. And another thing I do is I always meditate. I'm an advocate meditator.
Nice.
I always pray and I always meditate. And the reason why I meditate is because it gives you a different mindset as far as
your mind down.
Yeah. And then you say, whatever life throws me, I'm taking it. Because I feel like in the reality of all things, and I want you guys all to notice, God gives his toughest battles to his strongest warriors. You can't think you're a tough person and expect an easy battle, because you can't tell me you're a prize fighter and you keep fighting under average talent.
Right.
I mean, that means you're not a strong warrior. The battles go to the strongest warriors intentionally because of the fact that it gets to show you your strengths and gets to show you how much your persevering ability is. And you might be the guy that actually starts the generational wealth in your family. Wow. And people got to understand that. If you plan on changing your whole family, you got to be willing to make a lot of sacrifices. Absolutely. You know, and it's just what it is. Like you said, living for your last name.
Yep,
you know?
Absolutely. Any book recommendations?
Yeah, I like Richest Man in Babylon. I like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, of course. The Millionaire Next Door. You know, The Millionaire Next Door is amazing. Like, if you really think about it, it basically tells you the average Joes and how much people's perception is. You wealth looks a certain way, and I'm like, no, it don't. It really don't. Like, I'll give you a quick story. One night at my club, there was a guy that came. He's worth over $30 million. He came to the back of the club. My partner said, open the door for him, let him in. I said, all right. I go out the door. I look in the Range Rover. No one's in the Range Rover, so I slam the door back. My partner calls me, why you ain't open the door for the guy? I go a second time. I look in the Benz. Nobody in the Benz. I close the door. He goes, yo, Q, put your body out the door and let him see that you're there. Because he says you keep closing the door fast.
Right.
So I open the door and I stand out the door. I say, who's here? Anybody here? The guy gets out the car. He starts walking into the back of the club with me. So I said, this is the moment where I'm going to ask him a question, where a very Indian fellow, he's Pakistani to be exact. I said, why do you drive that car? He said, oh, my Prius is good on gas for me to go collect my rent. When he said that, it changed my whole mindset.
Wow.
And he said, and I asked him, I said, where do you live? He said, I know. I said, where's your house? He said, my estate. He corrected me. He said, my estate is in a nice side of Long Island. For anybody that knows Long Island, is in Upper Brook, like Old Brookville. Okay. That's like, you're talking about $60,000 a year taxes. Wow. Like, he's doing very well. But his mindset is, just because you make it, you don't have to wear it. Right. I don't wear labels. If you look at me, I don't wear Gucci, Louis, Prada.
You wearing your own stuff?
Yeah,
right
I wear
now.
my own stuff. Bro.
Right.
I don't care about it, because reality is, they did it was like a shirt. Okay. It was 2 plain T-shirts. It said $2.
Yep. He
took the shirt away. He came back with the same shirt. It had a Gucci logo on it. It said $149.99.
Wow.
And all he did was press a logo on it.
Yep.
Again, my mom said to me when I was younger, if you take a dirty dude, you put clean clothes on him, what is he?
He's still dirty.
So if you take a broke dude and put expensive stuff on him, what is he?
He's still broke.
And that's the perception. You know, and that took my mind for a loop when she used to always tell me that.
That's so true.
You know, she used to always say that to me, like, you're still broke.
Right.
You can look clean all you want, but you're still broke.
You rich for the moment.
Yes.
But you still got to lay your head down at night knowing that you ain't got no money coming in.
And that's what they don't think. They think that as long as the world perceives me as wealthy, I'm wealthy.
Ain't that something?
But that means that's a heightened insecurity within oneself. A lot of people are very insecure. You know, I'm very secure. I don't have to pose for the gram. I don't have to act anyway. Right. I don't care what somebody think about me. I was shocked when I posted my story and I didn't even know the lady was recording me. So
Bro,
the TikTok video,
that's the story that made me reach out to you.
And I never knew that she was even recording.
Wow.
I was just talking. But I was trying to use my influence on a younger guy who was in my shop at the time, and I was talking to him, basically telling him, if I can do it, you can. I'm nobody special. I'm willing to do what the others aren't willing to do. Right. So that's what gives me some kind of special abilities. But I'm an average Joe just like anybody else. I'm just like anybody else. But I'll make the sacrifice the average guy ain't willing to make. I'll lose the sleep. I don't mind. I go to sleep before dudes. I go to sleep after dudes, and I wake up before most people. So I go to sleep after most dudes, and I wake up before dudes. So I'm chasing it.
Gotcha.
You know, I'm always on the grind.
Let's talk about that before we close out the interview. Let's talk about that the mentorship, the community activism, because you're constantly giving game, especially to the youth, people of all ages. You know, like you said, you had some woman literally recording you in your barbershop. Talk about some of the things that you're doing out in the community.
See, me personally, like, I definitely mentor a whole town. Like, I'm well known in Baldwin, New York. Like me personally, I do stuff at this point without even expecting anything in return. Like people say to me, if it's genuine, you don't want to post it. If it's genuine, you don't want to literally be on social media for it. I would never give a homeless person a sandwich and want to record it.
Them, exactly.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
That means it wasn't genuine. You was doing it for the gram.
Right.
You know, for instance, I don't want to give people fish anymore. I want to teach them how to fish. And while teaching them how to fish, it ultimately changed their mind, and they will always fish for a lifetime now, opposed to still expecting me to fish for them. So the game I'm giving is more mental game. And the mental game, it starts teaching you how to play chess, not checkers. Everybody out here playing chess, checkers, real fast, intricate jumps.
Right.
Me, I make strategical moves, and I tell people to be more tactical and be more logical and live in your reality and real life and start making the intricate moves. Therefore, you're protecting your queen, and ultimately you win the game. But they don't think like that. See, the world is the matrix, and that's what people don't understand is the matrix. It's whatever you want it to be, it is. And that's what they think. In their mind, they can make themselves believe a false reality. And it's crazy how strong the mind is.
So true.
And you can believe it wholeheartedly. That's why I tell all the guys I mentor and I talk to, I'm like, look, stop thinking your 9 to 5 is your savior. It's called stability.
Yep.
That's all it is.
It's a false sense of security.
That's all it is.
COVID-19 really
Showed a lot of people
so much of that.
Yes, it did.
Yep.
And if it didn't, I feel sorry for a lot of people. But for me, my real estate shot to the moon. It's funny because I purchased properties during COVID, and a guy by the name of Robert Kiyosaki said, I need another round of COVID because I was able to buy a casino for pennies on a dollar. Wow. When he said that, I was like, oh, it's go time. It's go time. This is like the rich are getting richer because of the fact that they're investing. Like I went crazy in the stock market when everything was down. I invested a lot. I'm talking about I bought thousands of shares of Apple. I bought what's the name? A company called Neo.
Okay.
I don't have Amazon. I have another company I went a lot into was airlines, and I dumped a lot. American Airlines, Delta. I bought into a company called Jumaya, and I caught Jumaya for like $13. It's up like $45, $50 a share. Wow. And this is what I've learned from being around certain people. When you're around certain people, things get normalized that you don't even, like when you say, if you tell a guy right now, I got 6 figures in my savings account, they looking like, what?
Savings.
Yeah.
The value of money is going down.
And
you ain't even picking up no interest.
Look, it's funny because out of Kanye's whole wealth, they said that he's worth $600 billion. They said he only has $100 million in cash in stocks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, everything else is in assets.
I think what the valuation was like 6.6, right?
Yes.
6.6 billion.
Billion. And yet still only $100 million in cash in stocks.
That's nuts, man.
It's crazy.
That's nuts,
man. So it tells you that cash is it's not cash.
And he was also looked at as a crazy person at that particular time.
Yes, he was.
How crazy is he now?
He's a genius, bro.
Absolutely.
But Albert Einstein was the same. He's a genius.
Yeah.
Anytime you think outside of a box, you will always be looked at as
you're going against the masses
while
doing it.
Because everybody's a creature of a habit. They're creatures of habit.
Yep.
They do the same thing every day. It's to the point where their routine is the same. But then they get to the end of the year, they think that something special is going to happen for me.
Right.
But they did the same thing the last year, the year before, the year before. All they did was run the hamster wheel and sustain.
Albert Einstein said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
And that's what people think. They think something's gonna presto change. Oh, I'm special.
It's nuts, man.
Yeah. But again, I pray that people finally wake up and again be around people. I feel like we live in a world now. If you tell somebody the truth, either A, you a hater, or B, you jealous.
So true.
Which is crazy.
So true.
How can a winner be jealous of a loser?
Yep. Everybody's so sensitive nowadays.
Oh my God, brother. And
you can't even say hi before they melt.
I go through that with my little brothers, and I'm like, yo, I love y'all. I have conversations with you because of the fact that I wish somebody was doing this a lot earlier with me. A lot of people don't understand that uncomfortableness is what enables you to grow. By being comfortable, you'll never grow. And that's what people don't understand. Uncomfortableness brings out certain animalistic instincts in you that you don't even know existed.
So true.
Like the beast in you.
Yep.
And I tell a lot of people, a lot of people got a beast in them they don't know because they never had to exercise the beast. And I'm not talking about being aggressive. I'm not talking about yelling. I'm not talking about screaming. I'm not talking about fighting. I'm talking about survival.
Yep.
And that's what they don't understand. When you're back to the wall, you'll see your greatest moments. And I tell people, sometimes it's better to put your back to the wall and you'll see what you're capable of doing.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Q, you need to come out with a book, brother. You gotta come out with a book, man.
Yeah, you know.
You really have so many gems to offer. And think about it, your TikTok hasn't even blown up yet.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Imagine when you get to that scale, especially on TikTok, where you got so many people just looking at your advice.
Just so you know, and I say this on the record, I blow up tomorrow, you'll still have my number.
Let's do it,
You'll
baby.
still be able to hit me.
Thank you, bro.
I don't switch up.
Right,
like,
right.
Yo, I put 1,000 people on the phone, they're gonna be like, yo, I swear, the guy act like he still ain't doing nothing.
He's still there. He's still Quentin
And
Brown.
I'm like, I'm still the same, bro.
Right.
Like, again, humility. They say humbleness is godliness.
Mm-hmm.
And by knowing God, you have to have humility. Because God giveth, God take awayeth.
So true.
And I also say, if I help you, God won't take my blessings away. If anything, he'll bless me more.
Absolutely.
Because I'm blessing his people. And that's what people don't understand. So if you give, you get more. And that's what they don't get. And I'm like, you'll never win being selfish. Jordan is nothing without Pippen.
That's so true.
I don't care
You're
what
right.
nobody say.
You're right about that.
There's nothing without Pippen. He's been a great scorer.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I'm saying? But the championships
That
what
was the
made
duo.
him. Yes.
That was the duo.
Yes.
How can people connect with you online?
You can hit my social media, QDA Boss 516 on Instagram, on TikTok, and also Facebook. You can hit me at QDA Boss. They call me Q the Boss 516.
Okay.
And I'll let you know my area code. And also you can hit my email, Quentin Brown, QUENTIN BROWN 516@gmail.com. Quentin Brown 516@gmail.com. I'm sorry, guys. People keep calling me.
Yeah, man, he's a busy man. And 50 Cent, if you are watching, brother, I just found your brother.
Yeah, it's funny. I
Just
get that
like
a lot. Man, I get that a lot too. I ain't gonna hold you.
Cute,
But I
man.
appreciate y'all for tuning in this whole time too, man.
Yeah. What you got? You got people on what,
Yeah,
TikTok, right?
Yeah.
Man,
So
you
over
doing
30
your
something.
thing, brother. You doing
It
your
went
thing.
up and down,
man.
like 50, 60, 30, 40. It went up and down.
That's good, man.
And I just started really even dealing with the TikTok. You know what I'm saying? I never really, but I love it because I feel like it's real engagement.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that
Algorithms are so different.
yes. And I'm noticing that these people are really reaching out.
Yep.
And these people are seeing like, yo, this guy's the real deal, and he want to help others. I got one kid said he want a mentorship.
Okay.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set him up, man. And I know guys that's willing to help.
Okay.
And I'm not talking about. See, the thing is, if you're looking for a handout, that's not the case. I'm talking about mindset.
Yep.
Mindset is really what it is. I'm the kind of guy who will send you a book, and about a month later ask you questions on the book and see if you read the damn book.
Yep.
So that $19.99 that I spent on that book, that can ultimately make you way better positioning if you apply it to your life.
Yep.
But a lot of people don't want to do that.
That's so true.
You know?
And those are sometimes those are the cheapest mentors, those
Yeah.
books. Because think about it, you're having somebody that literally penned down the entire story in
Yes,
there.
yes.
Come from brilliant minds.
Yes.
People just don't want to pick up or put the work in order to read the book.
I agree 100%, brother.
It's nuts.
100%. And but it's better to look like you rich than it is to be rich. That's because it's easier.
Yeah, of course.
So everybody
you get the
wanna
instant
look-
gratification
Yeah.
on Instagram and TikTok and everywhere.
I'm not gonna hold you. I met a lot of celebrities, a lot of wealthy people.
Yep.
And 90%, I feel like 90, maybe 95% of people on social media is fake.
I believe it.
Fake. They're not who they are. Like I got guys that reach out to me and be like, yo, let's bust a move. When I look at their gram, I'm like, man, you doing your thing. But then when I see them in real life,
It's a mirage.
it's not the same.
Wow.
Rental cars, fake lifestyle.
And they comfortable with that.
Bro,
and
you
then
got-
and they selling a course
Yes, they
online.
are. And then look at like when you see a person on a yacht, they don't own them yachts. Mm-hmm. They don't own that.
That's true. It's all
It's
right.
rental, bro. And
Yep.
if y'all group up together, rented, it was $200 a piece.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
it's like 40 y'all on a boat. So how much could that possibly be?
It's a fake lifestyle.
It's
man.
all
That's what's
fake, bro.
promoted.
All fake. You know what I'm saying?
Q, you awesome, man. Thank
Appreciate
you
you,
so
my
much,
guy.
brother.
Appreciate it.
I appreciate
Guys,
it.
I
Listen,
appreciate y'all.
it was definitely a pleasure coming down to New York to come see you, man.
Yeah, my guy came all the way from Philly. Just so
All the
y'all
way
know.
from Philly,
You know?
baby. Because I knew that them gems that you was going to be bestowing upon me, man, I'm going to, and this is something that's going to benefit everybody anyway.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Sometimes I come from my own selfish inclinations as well.
I'm being honest with you, man. Like this moment right now, it felt better for me.
That's awesome, bro.
I enjoy it. I'm gonna be
Thank
honest
you,
with you.
man.
I love the willingness to give, bro. Like I
Absolutely.
love it, bro. Like
Thank
for
you,
me,
man.
this is like it's my pleasure.
You got people traveling to you, brother.
Yeah, that's
you
crazy.
really,
That's crazy.
you really
That's
making
dope.
some influences.
That's dope.
Man,
That's
happening.
dope. I appreciate it. They got
Thank
me
you,
blushing,
brother.
right?
Appreciate it. It's a
Black
wrap,
people ain't
y'all.
supposed to blush.